we can start now. We are just 4 minutes past 7 p.m. and you are all welcome to our Baobab event, how to build a meaningful mentorship relationship with your mentor. Your host today is Penlope Susan Kemanzi. I'll be the one taking you through the interview. And I am so honored and very super privileged to host my very own mentor today this evening. And it is such a great pleasure to have you all. Thank you for tuning in and for coming in very early. It is such a wonderful moment for me. And I believe that we are going to have a very great time together. The rules of the game is that it's going to be more of a conversation, but also it's going to be an engaging conversation from both me as the one who is asking questions, but also from the audience. You're okay to send in your questions and we'll be answering them as we go along with what I have already prepared for my mentor. And I just want to say you are all most welcome to our event. It's going to be like 1 hour and a few minutes if it gets more interesting. And I believe that it's going to be a learning experience. It's going to be a very beautiful experience. And at this point, allow me to introduce my mentor. And I'm so happy, by the way, excited that she accepted to be with me today and discuss the most important things that I believe each one of us is going to benefit from. So Anne is a versatile communication specialist spanning well over 12 years and the founder of the Writers Harbor. She has authored and published a relationship one-on-one book series titled 26 Interlocks of Bleaks and Weaves to cater for youth issues, whom she is passionate to empower. She has received awards in media for child advocacy rights and featured stories. Through the Writers Harbor, Anne avails vibrant and focused communication solutions to large and small audience. As a thought leader, Anne has a journal publication titled The Champions for Transformative Leadership Initiative, Kenyan Grassroots, Women as Agents of Change. Since 2010, Anne has been an active and valued member of the Associated Media Women in Kenya. And through the Global Give Back Circle in conjunction with Arizona State University and MasterCard Foundation, Anne provides mentorship to young women around the continent on the Baobab platform. It is such a wonderful moment to have you, Anne, here with me. And in addition to this introduction, I just want to let you know that today we are going to be discussing about our mentorship experience with my most wonderful mentor. And we are going to be looking at why is mentorship important, how our journey has been. If you are out there and you're considering to apply for the mentorship program, which is already, the application is on and it has been extended, thanks to God. So you can, I believe that by the end of this conversation, you will be able to apply for the mentorship program. Angela will share with us the link in the chat box for if you are interested. And one of the most important things is that the mentorship program is open to everyone who is a member on the Baobab platform. So if you have signed up for Baobab platform, you qualify to apply for the mentorship program. So do not feel limited, you can apply. And if you are joining us and you haven't joined the Baobab platform yet, we are also going to share a link in the chat and you can today from now join the Baobab platform so that you'll be able to enjoy all the available resources. Therefore, In the meantime, allow me to welcome my mentor to speak to you, then we can dive into the beautiful conversation. You are most welcome.
Wow, thank you for that awesome introduction. I hope I'm clear and everyone can hear me. My name is Anne Mbotela, and I am from Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, excellent. I'm from Kenya, and I am very thankful to be on this platform and to have my mentee. Susan has been my mentee from Uganda for a couple of years now, I believe, or almost 2. And I have to say that I think we have gone over the mentoring, threshold, and we are now very good friends. I think we've always been good friends. We just hit it off from the word go. Yeah. And I know this is a conversation, and so I'm so excited to see people from Ghana, of course Uganda, from Liberia. It's beautiful. And what excites me the most about mentoring is really the fact that it's just one experienced person becoming a trusted advisor to somebody else. And so it's really just sharing my experiences, my own journey, my strengths, my weaknesses, my threats, and other things that I've learned along the way with my mentee. So it is a joy for me to be here today. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you, Anne. And we believe that it's going to be an amazing session. So first of all, we want to have a brief understanding of what is mentorship and who is a mentor. So a mentor is an experienced and trusted advisor, and mentorship is like the influence, guidance, or direction given by a mentor. So one thing that we have to understand is that a mentorship shape in different ways. It can be a one-on-one mentorship program, it can be a group mentorship, it can be a peer-to-peer mentorship. But today, we are going to focus more on the one-on-one, since it's what I have been going through with my mentor. And we are going to discuss on how can we make this relationship very meaningful. Because one thing you have to understand is mentorship is a relationship. And what does that mean? It means that it calls for both ways. Both two individuals have to be interested, and each one of them has a goal that they want to achieve. Therefore, it must be nurtured to be very fruitful. So in this event, we are going to discuss about how can we make our mentorship journey very enjoyable. For instance, I can testify that I have not met Anne physically, but if you look at us, you can think we have ever met. Like, we are so good, we talk, we discuss, we are past formal things. True. Sometimes we even discuss the hard ones. So, and this has grown not because we are physical, but we are just connected. And this is why I really appreciate this program of Global Give Back, that they align you to a person who has the same attributes that you really want, or goals that you want to achieve. So if you're out there, you might be thinking that your mentor has to be physically with you, or you have to know them before. No, it doesn't. It's just a connection, and it is a relationship that grows like any other relationship. So today we are going to go direct into our questions. And Anne, I would like to ask you about what does mentoring mean to you, and why is it important to have a mentor?
Okay, thanks, Susan. Mentorship is important. One, because for me, I've also had mentors on my journey, and I've done many different things in life, including being in the media. I've done what you call home education. I've trained my children, 2 of who are college age children and one who's finishing high school. I've trained them at home. I have done business. And when I look, I have been a parent, and I think a successful one. And when I look at my life, I really think that it's not just about being clever or just waking up and doing life, but I think it's about being able to have examples that you look at. And so when I look at my life, Susan, I see that it's actually constituted building on the shoulders of other people. And so because I have been built to be quite a resilient and a versatile individual, and I find that naturally I want to nurture people. And so I like to nurture the young. I like to nurture, some who are about my age or even, mid-age. And so that's what for me mentoring means. It's just really passing down the example and being able to have the character and the fortitude to take people on, to love them. I remember when we first met and we were having such connectivity problems, at the get-go. And of course you are in another country and we were trying to figure it out. But I am thankful for the internet and online, because then we were able to start talking and connecting at a very soft level, a soft skill level. So how are you? Tell me about yourself. What do you like? What don't you like? Etc. And like you have rightly said, the relationship has grown.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah, in fact, when I got assigned the very first time when I received the email that you've been assigned a mentor, I was a bit skeptical. I was like, now I've never met this lady. How am I going to start? I had those fears of myself, including with all the fears that I was coming to share with you. I was still skeptical about how am I going to start. And then I had to breathe in and allow myself, because I knew the reason to why I really wanted this mentorship program. I wanted to learn. I was transitioning from being a student to going to now to work, and I was trying to figure out, where am I going to fit? What do I want to do? And at that point, I didn't want to speak to people who know me, because I thought they were going to sympathize with me. So I realized like this program had come at the right time, where I will meet a new face, I will pour out my heart, and it is okay, and I will just be open. So I had to put my fears aside and think about what is the goal of why I really actually want to have this mentor help me walk this journey. And that really helped me. And from that day on, even when we started, I thought it was going to be too formal, but it started on a lighter note. So it became so easy for me to express myself to you. So, and indeed, the journey has been amazing up to now. So, and in this journey as a mentor, I know that most of the time I'm getting from you. How has been your journey like? Did you get anything from me? I could get to know about it today. How has been your experience having me as a mentor? And like any other mentor, or what are some of the things that a mentor is always looking up to from their mentee?
Okay. Like you said, Susan, mentorship, as much as it's about pouring into your the mentee or the person that's coming to receive from you. You're giving to them something. I think the most fulfilling one, which we have had, is also receiving from you. And one of the things that fascinates me about Susan is the family cut. She does some business on the. Did I say that right? on the side.
Yes.
Family kit. Yeah. And just being able to do her groceries. I'm marketing you and groceries and sell stuff to people, and her ability to be on the internet, especially the WhatsApp, and just be able to do some of that. She does it very well. As well, I remember that one of the things that happened was, Susan, when you were wanting to get some funding grants, to do some of the work you were doing, and just being able to send them to me via internet, via WhatsApp, for me to read through some of your editing work. And I remember just telling you, hey, this is a really good idea. There's things that I can see I'm picking from you. You are very interested in working with the sector of disability. And I, having come from the NGO world, was able to speak into that, but also to just watch how you did it, and your zeal and being unafraid to push forward and to get on with the journey. And I remember, one of the things that has been very rewarding is being able to tell you, man, Susan, I love what you're doing, and keep it up. And really what that speaks is that it also challenges me. I'm in my 50s and almost in the middle there. And so sometimes the older you get, the more you want things to stay the way they've been. You don't want to disturb the status quo. And so when I mentor someone considerably younger than me, it reminds me that I was there one day, a while back, and that I do not need to be concerned about moving into new and different things. And so really, a mentorship for me, Susan, has been two sides of a coin. And I can tell you, yes, I have gotten quite a lot from you. So thankful.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I'll be grateful for that in my things that I'm grateful for this year. So that's really good. Go. So yeah, so one of the things that are very important in any relationship is communication. They say it is the foundation of every relationship to thrive. How do we make communication, or how is communication very important between a mentor and a mentee? How does it help actually to create and to build a meaningful relationship between the two?
Yeah, I really think that communication has been overrated in the sense that a lot of people feel like it's everything and everything lies on communication, and in many ways it does, because you're talking about the one-on-one, you're talking about group dynamics, you're talking about now the social media, which is a new type of media. You're talking about telephoning, or you're talking about emails. In my day, we did something called aerograms. I don't know. I don't think those still exist.
Never heard of that.
Oh my. Okay. Anyway, and basically what communication is about. And in my learning, in my first degree, learning communication, it was the basic of communication, which you are also a holder in communication, was about sending a message to the receiver, and the receiver sending a message back to you and receiving feedback. And so why is that important? It's necessary to receive feedback about whatever it is you're giving. What I find, Susan, is a lot of us, even those of us who are communication experts, don't always know how to communicate, whether in the right channel, in the right tone of voice, in how we speak to someone on SMS. And so it becomes crucial to have communication not just as an outlet, but something that we learn. And of course, you're aware that I train on my platform, yes, the Writer's Harbor. Yeah, because I've seen that there's a gap. There's a gap between the theory and the practice of it. And because a lot of us did not see mentorship being shown to us in how people communicate, we automatically just don't communicate well. Or we think we are communicating, but we are being rude. Or, and so you can communicate with your body, you can communicate verbally, you can communicate in so many ways. But it is true that communication is key in so many things. Even writing a good CV is communication. You get a CV done wrong, you'll not be recruited for the job. You're kicked out before you're ever invited for an interview. So all that is communication, and I think it ranges in different levels, and it is important that people learn how to communicate. I mean, I'm still learning how to communicate. You learn how to communicate with adult children, much more different than when they were younger. You start to talk to them as adults, and as much as you're trying to give instructions, it changes how you gain trust, which is part of the mentorship. How you gain trust in how you talk to a professional mentee like yourself is also different. So those things, we don't assume that people just know them. They need to be taught. And so to answer your question, it is paramount, and it is very, very needed.
Oh, wow. So one thing I've also realized is if you keep silent, you're still communicating.
Completely. It's called the language of silence, or the mute button.
So communication, whether it's spoken or not, you in one way or the other, you are communicating. So
you're communicating.
So
and listening is okay. There we are. Okay, listening is also communication. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, that's so true, because they say being a good leader is more of a listener than a talker, because at least it helps you to understand. So in this case, when it comes to regards with you see, most of the time we mentors, we already think like if you've gotten a mentor, they're the ones supposed to be asking you, how are you doing? Or if you set certain goals, they will come into your inbox and ask you, did you do this? Did you achieve whatever you wanted to achieve? So at the end of the day, it becomes like a one-way instead of a two-way. What would you advise a mentor? Because I believe that if there is a two-way communication, that actually makes the relationship even more stronger. So how can someone like grow in that area, like as a mentee?
Quite honestly, it takes practice. Again, some of us are I think what's been nice between you and I is we are quite extroverted. We are just talkative. I think an example is just now. We're talking at the same time, but we're still understanding each other. I think it's understanding your personality type. And I would recommend, as I've done that even with you, Susan, in my training, Harbour. But even just generally in life, it's important to do tests like the MBTI, that is the Myers-Briggs test, personality test. And there are other tests that people can do that have been created by psychologists. Again, it's that riding on the shoulders of others who already have the skill. So it doesn't have to be someone physical. And when you understand your personality, it then supports you to know how are you able to interact from mentor to mentee. I can tell you that we've talked about goal setting and what is it you want to do in another couple of years. But then it's not necessarily up to me as the mentor to keep saying, hey, are you now doing what you said you would do? I think when the conversation becomes, the barriers are broken and the fears are broken of what is my mentor thinking? Can I trust them? Do they prove trustworthy? Then you find as a mentee, you've also got, you have the opportunity and the open door to come and ask, hey, I know I talked about this, I'm struggling in this, because the mentor will not know that you're struggling if you don't speak up. Or you talked about reaching a goal and the mentor is asking you and you don't really want to answer the question. Those are some of the hard questions. So again, it's, I think, part of being transparent. And some of us, again, our socialization is not just go and be open. And of course, it doesn't mean that when you meet up mentor to mentee, that it's automatic. It's not always automatic for everybody. Sometimes there's a struggle. I know I've talked to fellow mentors, and sometimes there's a struggle in communication, a struggle in language barrier, or whatever else. And so I think that trust issue, Susan, is very, very key. Because the more you trust someone, the more you can open up to them. And when we talk even about breaking the threshold of, that mentorship level, it's not, ours has gone way beyond just talking communication. I mean, we talk about every other thing, and and that it becomes beautiful because now we're in relationship. We've talked about, hey, I need to come visit. Oh yeah, when you come to Kenya, you know that you need to come to my house. So it becomes sweet, and it becomes meaningful, and it's a journey where you're impacting in a way that you can see it. Because how do you impact if you don't ask the right questions, or if you're not willing to be open enough, or you're not regular enough? Your mentor is looking for you, you're missing in action, you're MIA, and so it becomes frustrating because if someone is trying to pour out into you, but you're never available, so you've got to straighten some things out. So that also takes me to the thought of discipline. Today, I was supposed to be on the platform, for example, at 6:45. And then I realized, oh my goodness, it's almost 10 to, I've not opened my Zoom. I need to get in. I'm sure that my mentee is panicking. I'm sure, but she knew that I would come through because we'd already communicated in the day. We've been talking and discussing. So it becomes such, what would you call it? When something just grows naturally, there's a word, it morphs very, very naturally. It's like a plant that's growing. It's got the right ingredients. It's got the water. It's got the sunshine, and it's got the humidity. It's just right. I know that in Uganda it's very, very hot, and that it's because we had a phone call and I was asking, how is the weather there? Hey, in Nairobi it's pretty cold. And so on and so forth. So it is really that two-way makes it so meaningful and easy to do life.
Wow. Yeah. Very, very, very key important points. My dear audience, I believe that you're there. And like I said, it's going to be a conversation. So if you have any questions so far, please feel free to leave them in the chat and we will be reading. I might not have all the questions that you have on your mind, so feel free to text. And as I've reminded you before, the application is on to apply for the mentorship program. The link is in the chat. For those who have just joined, I think we'll have to share it later on again so that you don't miss out on the mentorship application. So you are welcome to leave in your questions in the chat box as we continue to dive into this wonderful conversation, and you are most welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you. So after understanding that communication is key, I believe, Anne, you've written a book, and it is entitled Relationship 101 book series. And it is called 26 Interlocks of Blicks and Waves. I know that I haven't read it personally, but I know there are certain principles that you could share with us in that book. And you could also give us a summary of why did you actually write a book that is targeting the young people? And what was your goal about that? And then share with us some of those key principles that you highlighted in that beautiful book.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an author of this book right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, let me bring it close.
It's so cute.
It's called The Interlocks of Bricks and Weaves. And on this, the cover, there's the bricks, and the bricks are the guys. And then there's the weaves. You can see that the weaving, like a sweater, and those are the girls. And you can see it's colorful, and then the guys are not so colorful. Not to say that the guys are not colorful, but it's just to illustrate. Lest I start getting stones thrown at me. But I talked about, or rather, I got the idea to write this book. Again, I'm one of those people that's very solutions oriented, and I like to give solutions where I see there's a problem. And I'm also a trained counselor in trauma matters and counseling in general. And so I started to see how relationships would go awry or not work at various stages, whether it was at the courtship, whether it was at what some call dating, even towards good marriages and good, strong relationships. And so I write in the back of the book and say, I call it Relationships 101, meaning that you should be on the lookout for Relationships 102. And actually, before I forget, I also have a second one, which I'm yet to launch. And so I'm working on it and likely to launch it in the early part of next year. And so, and so this particular one, I talk about relationships because I believe that relationships exist in interlocked and intertwined spaces. And that's why it's called the interlocks, 26 interlocks. So I write from A to Z, which is the 26 letters of the alphabet. Interlocks are locking them together, intertwining relationships, much as the bricks are intertwined. When you walk through the bricks, you can see that they are, put together. And even the strings here, the weaves, you weave them together. And so I see that weaves have the overtones of an articulate, meticulous, working through details, and cliche, which is the girls. Now that's what you call the stereotype. It doesn't mean that there aren't guys or bricks that are also meticulous in nature. And then I talk about the building, which denotes physical strength. That's the bricks, the physical strength that guys ordinarily have, and the muscle and the appreciation of the overall structure of how guys see life. And many times ladies see life as they see the nitty-gritty, and the men come and offer the oversight. Now that's typical, but that's not to say that that's how it always flows. And so I talk about the different values, where within a relationship, we are talking about different things like staying interested. How do you stay interested in a person without being unfaithful, for example? How do you count the cost of being close? We've talked about that even in the mentorship journey that Susan and I have worked through. I don't remember that we've really worked through issues, but we've worked through becoming close so that we talk about anything and everything, and we've developed the trust. But how do you do that in a boy-girl or lady-gentleman relationship? And so I start to open that space up in this book, and just to be able to help not just young people, even though, when you write for a certain audience. And so I say the audience is between 19 and 35, but really relationships principles are across the board. And how then do we get substance within relationships? And so that's why I wrote the book, just being able to fill that gap and help people out, get them to ask me questions, and also make a few coins on the side. When you sell your books, then you make.
Yeah, that's actually, speaking of making a few coins, how can someone get the book? Because it's so interesting.
We can discuss that. Right now, I'm actually out of stock and working towards getting more copies. I sold my first 100 and need to work through another 100 or more copies. So again, I can give them my address, I can give them my contact, and would be happy for you to engage me, and I can get you a book. I've sent some out of the country as different ones come through, or just sending them out. So it's something that we can engage in. I can type in my details.
Are you about to put it in Amazon so that people can order for it online?
You see how my mentee challenges me. I have actually thought about it, and I am working with a designer to support me in being able to put it online, to put it on eHub. So so I am looking at that. I haven't advanced as much, but it is something that I've considered. So maybe you can help me to put it.
That's the new age we are in, so it needs to be online so that it can be easily accessed.
Buying the books online. I completely agree. And while you're at it, Susan, I can see a bunch of questions there. But
yes, so there are a bunch of questions here. And one of them, of course, they were asking, how can they get your book? I think you can type your contact in the chat box so that they can reach out to you in your email. And one person asks, like, what are some of the things you're not supposed to discuss with your mentor? And I think maybe a follow-up question is like, what actually even creates that atmosphere of these things should be discussed, these things shouldn't be discussed?
Okay, I think communication is really about intentionality. And you see, that question is very, it opens the door to say that we work by our cultures. A lot of times we work by how we are raised. So in your house, if you are not allowed, say, to talk about sex, I mean, trust me to talk about the very highest one, you're like, you don't bring that up. And now I'm exaggerating the situation a little bit. Of course, there are some things that are inappropriate. These subjects that would be inappropriate, especially between a male-female setup, because they suggest that you're getting into a space you're not supposed to get into. But for the most part, one of the things I also like about Baobab is it puts the gender, it genders you, it pairs you up in the gender space. And so for me, to be honest, I really doubt that there's stuff that I cannot talk about if my mentee wants to talk about it. I think, to answer the question in a simplistic way, really, I give my mentee the space to talk about who she is. Because remember, Susan said that mentorship is it's a relationship. And I think that question you've got to ask, how close do I want to be to my mentor? And closeness also then means that you're willing to be vulnerable. We talk about doing the SWOT test, which is talking about your strengths, talking about your weaknesses, talking about what opportunities. I've told Susan about opportunities that she can pick up along the way, and what are some of your threats? What is it that's a risk to you? So I think that question is basically saying, hey, I'm a little afraid to open up about certain things. So I really think it's your prerogative. You're not going to go and start talking about intimate things. That's not what mentorship is about, even though it can get there. But it's about your values. You value writing well, for example. You value maybe you're being bashed at work and things are not working very well. Hey, Anne, tell me, have you ever experienced this? Can you talk to me about it? What should I do? I'm experiencing this. So it's really about you and the extent to which you can open up. And really that, I think, becomes, as it were, your prerogative. And to the extent that you're willing to open up, and your mentor, who is has accepted to take you on and take you into their life, is willing to open up, then that relationship blossoms.
Wow, I think that's a very well articulated. I can't add anything on that. So thank you so much. One of the participants, Brenda, was asking, I think I just have to mention we are privileged. We have one of the Global Give Back program coordinator joining us on this call. And so this question, I think, she will answer it when they go in board meetings. Like, can a mentor change can a mentee change a mentor if they don't get along, and vice versa? I think once you have realized that you're not getting along, you have to email the Global Give Back team and you tell them what you're going through, because personally, I've been receiving follow-up questions. They follow up, they ask you how your relationship is doing, they ask you if there is anything you need to let them know. I think that's the best time that you can always tell them how you're feeling about your relationship with that person. So another question is, someone was saying, I gave the link to someone to register, but she has said she has not been contacted yet. They will contact after the application has closed. The application is closing on December 15th, if I'm right. So after that date, I think they will take the poll and then they will start contacting people. So please let her know that they will contact her. And then someone says, they are recording. Yes, Angela, I don't know if you'll be able to share the recording with people. I think so. Then Millicent says, I have so many goals to discuss with my mentor. How do I plan to make sure I'm moving forward, not juggling all around and forgetting and not working on other goals? How do I plan so as in the end, I'll be a different person stroke professional? How long should mentorship last? Does it have a does it have a timeline? I don't know.
That's a bunch of questions in one.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
A bunch of questions in one. How does she plan? How to move on? She has so many questions.
Let me go back to that question. Okay. It's okay. Basically, expectations are again about goals. It's what you want to fulfill as a person. Everybody has got goals, including your mentor. And so you come and you share with them and let them know where you are at in your journey, because you're talking, the first contact of mentorship in Baobab is really at a career level, where you're matched with a person who did stuff that you've similarly done. So there's lots of things that you're alike in some ways. And so now again, because the mentor comes with experience, these things they take you through. And one of them is, for me rather, and it's very, very individualized. It's not cut in stone. But for me, it was understanding, Susan, tell me your journey. What are your struggles? And we didn't start right there. Tell me your journey, your struggles. But at some point of the road, let's talk about your 360 career journey, which really means where are you at now? Are you happy with what you're doing? And if you're not, what adjustments can you make? And so there are tools that mentors can support you with, again, based on their own journey. I am also a trainer in career development. I train in that area. So understanding what does the mentee need, that's what's always key. And so that those expectations, that you don't need to be going around in circles when you have a mentor. And that's why I talked about being able to find times and timelines and make time to say, hey, let's sit down beyond the official initial meetings, getting to know each other, getting your timelines to flow. Relationships don't just happen just like that. It's not at a snap of a finger. So that now you start to learn who your mentee is you know that you have a responsibility towards them, but how they juggle their life, they would need to understand where their journey is at. So you provide the tools and they go and walk through their journey. So again, I think it becomes, how do you operate as a person? Are you disciplined enough? And if you're not, are you willing to say, hey, I did not get this and this done? I know we've talked about it. I'm like, hey, you said you're going to send me this. Where is it? Or, hey, I sent you this. I mean, Susan will keep me on my toes. And very sweetly, but nicely ask, hey, I sent you this. Would you please kindly review it? Sometimes I'll be right in the middle of work and I'll tell her, hey, give me a few days and I'll be able to look at it. So you know, it's a very human sort of relationship, and you also have a great responsibility in it all. Next question.
Next question is.
I think our time is flying.
It's flying, so you're gonna be very fast in answering because I see there are 9 messages. So Angela says, very nice conversation. What is one secret to a healthy relationship based on what you uncovered in your book? One secret.
Okay, let me reopen it. I'll look at the table of contents. One secret, I call it a key. A secret is hidden. One secret is being able to understand duty calls before courtship. This is what I say about relationships. In my house, for example, people are getting into that relationship age, you know, 20s, you know, thereabouts. And I recommend, hey, let's first finish college before we talk relationships. And because it's a relationship, a courtship sort of dating book, so when I talk about duty before courtship, it's understanding that you need to be a responsible individual before you want to run into a relationship, because relationships are work.
Yes.
And we do not need to be afraid of work. Writing a book is work. It doesn't just happen that you put together a whole bunch of whatever. It takes work. It takes intentionality to put together 156 pages. And so does mentorship and relationships. And so in my book, I talk about different aspects, and that's one of them. Just being able to be dutiful, responsible, before you think that it's not just you know, the mushy-gushy, it's romantic, or you're feeling the goosebumps. Get to work,
butterflies,
learn how to wash dishes. Exactly, butterflies, you know, get to learn to wash dishes so that when one day hopefully this relationship is going to be a more lasting one, so that one day when you get into that relationship where you are under a roof, you're not giving the other person trouble. You know, just because you never saw anyone washing dishes in your house. So different things like that for me is a great secret. I'm very practical about life. I like fun, but I'm very practical.
I just want to follow up with a little bit of it. Like you said, there is a duty. So just in like 30 seconds, just like how we prioritize, and you'll be like, when I finish school, I want to prioritize on my career, first work, get a job. Even relationships, do we need to prioritize, or we just jump in when you meet the guy, you start, or you can sit there and say, I need to give myself time, prepare myself, and then when someone comes, I feel I am ready, I can give it a shot. Do we have to prioritize relationship? You know, most of the time we prioritize work, finances, family, those things. And then when it comes to relationships, we just jump in, and then at the end, it becomes trouble.
That's so true. Because again, it's how we are taught. We are not taught to give relationships the priority. And yet, you know, somebody said it like this, to answer your question, that when people do medicine and things like engineering, you know, things that are life and death. I mean, if the engineer doesn't get the, or construction, the architecture doesn't get those things right, there can be a lot of damage. But what we forget is relationships, especially if they're supposed to be long-term, which they should have longevity, they're the ones that need more training than anything else, because you're going to be in there long-term, and it is a matter of life or a lack of life. I don't say death, but injecting life into another individual. But we somehow don't seem to think that it's that important to be trained and even to have mentors and counselors. And somehow, I think mainly as Africans, we tend to even think that when we go for counseling, something is wrong up here. We're going crazy and mad. And when we talk about psychologists and being able to have a psychologist in your life, as a matter of fact, my daughter is studying counseling psychology, we think there's something wrong with that whole aspect of being able to be needy and to get help. So yes, Susan, it is so key to be able to understand the relationship journey. For those of you who have a taboo in reading books, you need to read books about relationships so that you understand what works, what doesn't, so that because anytime you get into a relationship, you can either make it better or make it bitter, So yes, to answer it, for sure, 100% be prepared.
Thank you. So someone, Ronald asks, Ronald says, how do you go about the differences in traits with your mentor, e.g. introvert versus extrovert? I think you mentioned something about that, like know your personality type.
I did. Again, that it's coming back to that whole aspect of how do you communicate? So I understand how Susan, in this case, communicates. I understand her timings. I respect her. There are some things that are just principles. Respect. I don't need to be rude to get my point across. Or neither does she need to be rude to tell me, I need to get this done. So sometimes it's beyond just personality. It's just good manners, just basic, behave yourself within a friendship, because you're not there just to receive, and I'm not here just to give, but we are here to create a mutuality and to understand each other. So the more you seek to understand a person, to respect them, I believe in respecting younger people and being respected back. I believe in talking about anything and everything appropriately, and asking hard questions, but not making somebody else uncomfortable. So I think it's really understanding yourself first so that you can be able to give to the other person as much as you want to be given.
Wow, thank you.
I hope that answers the question.
It actually does. So another person, I think this was a mentor this time, he's asking, let me first get, it's called Alice. Alice says, how do you manage expectations? I had a challenge with my mentee, thought I would be providing financial support. When they tell us mentor, hey, we know that I experienced, you're up there, me, I'm here going to start work. So I might think that my mentor can actually support me financially. So how do you manage expectations as you go through this journey with your mentor?
Again, I think one of the things I like about the Baobab platform is that you're not mentoring alone. If Susan was to give me problems, I would go to a lady called Asmahan, who is my contact, and say, hey, I'm having a bit of trouble with my mentee. How do I handle it from the Baobab platform? Because you see, it's an established, it's not a personal issue here. It's official. It's just as if I think if you're going to work, these are the hours that are being given, but you're being made to do so many more. Is there a way to escalate? And yes, there is a way to escalate. I think mentors don't have to deal with every nitty-gritty or be made to feel uncomfortable about something that they're volunteering to do and give up their time. So it's got to be very clear at the get-go what the what's and the nots of what's going on in this mentorship journey.
Wow, thank you. Priscilla, thank you. Priscilla says, Susie, you're lucky to have Anne as your mentor. Of course, I am so super lucky. Imagine all this wisdom, I get to tap on it all the time. So yeah, so someone is asking, Omar is asking, what's the best advice you can give to help plan a career rather than simply work to keep a job? That's one question. And how do you keep your feelings separate from your decision making? Emotional intelligence.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the career journey, I teach on careers because, again, I realized there is a gap. People just expect that.
As we wait for Anne to get back, Nathan is asking, I'm based in UAE, but interested in the program. Advice, please. Dear Nathan, what you can do, I don't know if you've already signed up to the, if you've already signed up for the Baobab platform. I don't know if you're already on the Baobab platform, but if you are on the Baobab platform, please just go, the link has been shared in the chat, and apply for the program. It's not about being physical. The program is given even when you are not physically present with your mentor. So you can always figure out how to meet and communicate with your mentors. So if you're already on the Baobab platform, that is one ticket to being accepted in the program. And then you can apply. The link is right there in the chat. And as we have lost Anne because of a technical glitch, I believe she will be back on in a few, and we are almost coming to an end. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has really taken time to join. The mentorship program is going, you're welcome back. We are still waiting.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Do you want to go or do you want me to continue?
No, you can continue. I was waiting for you because you're still in the middle of your
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just saw you freezing and I'm like, oh no, my internet, I'm about to be kicked out.
Yeah, you are freezing. I was like, she's freezing.
Anyway,
she's freezing.
Yeah, so I was talking about careers and the understanding that I wasn't able to get into what I actually wanted. And I had parents also, luckily, that were not, that were very, very, I have parents who are very helpful, retired medics, and they didn't push us into careers that we didn't really want. And so they helped me to walk through the journey of finding things to do, including trying to help me find jobs. And then eventually I found my space, you know. So sometimes it takes time to discover yourself, and it's okay. And that's why the mentor is so crucial, because they come and help you along when the journey is not so smooth. And they're able to tell you, hey, this is what I went through. And you know what? Tell me a little bit about Uganda. How do you guys do your jobs? We've had those kinds of conversations. You know, you're from school now. How do you connect this? Which area is this you want to go into? How does your industry work? Hey, go find out about this and this and that. So life is about basically asking questions. And then you also ask the question, a different question on your feelings. Hey, let me tell you, it is a journey. Emotional intelligence is a journey that we all must walk. For me, one of the things I've had to learn, even in my 50s, is not to be impatient. I call it an impatient streak, that sometimes I just can tell when I'm getting impatient with a situation, and how do I calm myself down? So it's about self-awareness. And I like to call things and to label things and call them what they are. Because when you call things what they are, you can deal with them. When I say I'm impatient about a situation, I'm generally very patient, I think. But I'm saying that one of what I would call my weaknesses, which I quite understand and I've understood over time, is I can have an impatient streak. Just impatient about a journey, you know, just about how something is happening, and I may show it. And so how do I become tolerant? How do I train myself? And that's a lot of stuff. 90% is how you do life, how I do life, and 10% is the other things that are happening around you. So so feelings are really about how do you control what is beyond you, what you're feeling is working you up. You control it by recognizing it's there, calling it by its name, and then dealing with it. And when you find that actually meant something is going beyond you, find somebody to help you. Like I said earlier, finding a counselor, it's not a curse word. Counselor is not a curse word. Go pay a few shillings. Some of them will give you free of charge. I know places, even in Kenya, where I say, hey, you're struggling with this and this and this. That goes deep. Hey, I know somebody who can help you. There's classes that you can understand yourself. So self-awareness in this journey of feelings, because feelings can get you into a lot of trouble. And yet we are feeling creatures. You can't pretend you're not feeling. When you feel angry, when you feel angry about something, you know that something is going down. It's because you are created with those feelings, but now you don't want your feelings to overtake your senses, so that you're so angry, in a work situation, you're so angry that you can't get anything done. No, so I mean, finding that balance is always important. And so, I mean, this thing is a lifelong learning.
True. We keep learning, right? All the time. We keep unlearning and learning. As I have my last two questions as I prepare them. If you are in the audience and you just want to ask a question, I will take like only two questions. The first two questions, you can unmute or you can raise your hand, then you unmute. I allow you to ask a question. Then as I also ask my last two questions, because time is not on our side and the conversation is amazing. I wish I can continue, but of course not. So I wanted to ask a question about how does the environment we live in influence the kind of relationships we have? I'm going to give an example. I met my husband when I was at university. We were doing our masters. I had like a semester to go, and that's when we started getting to know each other. And because I was studying, the first thing when we started talking and I saw like something was coming up, my biggest worry was, if I fail this masters, they are going to definitely say, you went into a relationship. So that was my biggest fear. And I believe on this platform, there are scholars here who are maybe in the same place that I was in. You want to date, but because you're at school, you feel you can. In fact, at some point, I thought like, if they find out that we are dating, they will take away the scholarship. But apparently I remembered we are old. So in an environment like that, how does it affect a relationship, and how can someone handle such fears? And then when you're done with that, we will hear from Rosine and Uma. I saw their hands up.
Okay, lovely. That's a loaded question. Like we've got to get back on the platform.
Let's summarize it in 1 minute.
You see what this mentee does to me.
1 minute.
So I would. So what I would say is, again, self-awareness for me is so important. Being able to understand, are you the kind of person that can juggle many things, including a relationship, and still be reading? And or are you the sort of person that when you start to put too many things together, it becomes confusing? I mentioned something about homeschooling my children. At first, when I thought about the possibility, I asked myself, and who made you become a teacher? When did you, I thought you're a journalist, come businesswoman. When did you become a teacher? And what I realized in training children, starting from kindergarten all the way to high school, I know you're looking at me and thinking, what? But I realized that they are audio learners. When they hear it, they get it. And all three of mine, I have three, one is she sees, yes, no, she has to hear it and write it. And then another one just sees it and he's good. And another one, he feels it. It's called kinesthetics. So there's audio learners, visual learners, and kinesthetics learners. You touch it. So you've got to understand that if you're going to get into this relationship, but you're more a sight person, you might get distracted. Is it good for you in that season? Do you understand your seasons? Are you able to have self-control and say, not now, I can't get into this, I'm self-aware, and this is not going to work for me? I've seen sometimes even in applying for jobs, I've seen things, people come through asking, can I take this job? I don't have this and this proficiency. I say, why don't you train yourself on this proficiency? Somebody is like, no, I can't. I don't have the time. So what am I saying? Know yourself, pace yourself so that you don't set yourself up to fail. But on the other hand, as you know yourself and pace yourself, sometimes you want to stretch. We call it have a stretch assignment and still go for it. So I can't, it's not a one size fit all sort of answer. Okay, was that 1 minute?
So basically, you have to know, you have to be self-aware what you can handle and what you can't handle. So Rosine,
be honest
ask your question
about it.
Yes, Rosine, ask your question, and then Uma, then Anne will be able to answer at once.
Okay, thank you, Susan. My name is Rosine. I work on with the Global Give Back Circle on the mentorship program. And I'm so happy to see Anne and Lisa. Wow, they are good, by the way. So I wanted just to add some points, like especially for the people that I saw in the comment were like, oh my God, I wish I can have a mentor like Anne. And I want to tell you guys, it's ask two people to be great, to make a mentorship successful. So I would like to tell you that Susan also is a great mentee. And so the combination of two, they make it really great. So you guys, once you join the mentorship, make sure also you work hard so that you can have a successful mentorship journey like the one with Anne and Susan. So I wanted also to say that, Susan, you said about if you have maybe a mentor that you feel like you are not working well together, so you just tell us. Lisa mentioned that you have to communicate to us. We are there just to make sure that your mentorship journey is successful. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. This is so awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, Rosine, for being on the call.
Thank you, Rosine. Thank you.
Uma, please go unmute. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question. Brenda, thank you for appreciating. She says, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful call, and we have made her day, so we can count a week. A week gone so well. And Bernadette say, thank you. This session was so amazing. Thank you, guys. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you for those.
And thank you for coming and joining us.
Yes. Yes, they have made it easy. So as we wait for Umar, I don't know if there is any other person, one more person, so that I ask my very last question and I let Anna go and have a very nice evening with her family. So as we wait, one more question is, why do young people find it difficult in maintaining relationships? What's wrong with us?
Young is
young people. I mean, okay, just like you said, 20 to, yeah, we are still young anyway. We count
first, that might be a little bit. I also consider myself young, and I'm in my 50s anyway. So young. I have a son in the room. You should have seen the look he gave me.
Really?
I look like, Mom, did you just call yourself young? He's 17. He's my last one. Anyway, so I don't think it's a problem of the youth. I think there's certain stereotypes. What I believe though is when I watch the youth and seen some of the problems the youth walk through that are a little different than us who are a little older, is the social media, I think, is Please don't shoot me. Please don't send any stones my way. But I think the social media is becoming a bit messy. The social media is great. It's a great tool. But I also think that it is encouraging some antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, you get into a room and guys are like this.
We have
At
so
what
many
point are you going to look up? Yeah. At what point are you going to look up and have a face to face? You know, I know, Susan, one of the things that has been awesome for us is being able to do WhatsApp videos. Hey, can I video you? Can I WhatsApp video call you? You know, but a lot of people, and even some of the questions that have come onto this platform, a lot of people are afraid to be known because there's some vulnerability there and you feel like you're losing control. A lot of us want to be in control. And so I feel that we are becoming a bit like idols to ourselves, you know, where it's my life. I can be in my room with my phone. It is my social media. It's called social media. But really, you're actually not being very social. You are on your phone, and it becomes the barrier between you and relationship. So I think that's one of the areas. And then the other one that I alluded to is the fact that we are not trained. Relationship is the very thing you need, but who comes and really trains you to sit and listen and understand this is how you talk, this is how you don't talk, this is how you shake hands with somebody and tell them, I appreciate you, a firm handshake. This is how you close a deal. This is how you don't do it. You know, just the do's and don'ts of life. So I think some things are changing in some communities, in some countries, and really the global give back circle is one of them. You know, the platform, the Baobab platform is one of them. That's changing things, and people can communicate and open up your mind to another human being. You know, I'm not a robot. I am human. Yeah. So I think we really need to be careful about this, the technology, that it should work for us and not against us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important, because now on social media, everyone is a relationship expert. Everyone gives their own experience, so you need to know what to pick out and what not to pick out, what really works for you and what keeps your integrity in check. Don't lose your integrity. Yes, exactly. So I see Umar is still having his hand up. Umar, can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yes, we can.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, actually, the question I want to ask is that how can you find or solve a situation where you find yourself a challenge or a problem where you cannot meet up with your mentor?
Meet up, as you mean physically meet up, or even online? You can't really meet.
As in you didn't meet him, his needs.
So you are not able to talk to him online and even physically. Is that what you're trying to say?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What I wanted to confirm is when you talk, when you talk about meeting, you want to meet, you are unable to meet him physically, or you're also unable to meet him online?
What I mean is that meet up his needs as in between the mentee and a mentor.
Okay, Susan, I think I get what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you're basically saying when you're not a good, you're not a good fit for each other. You're finding that you're not able to give to the person what they need. I think it's important to be able to get help, as I'd said, from the Baobab team and have those discussions. Because mentors as well have their own meetups where we meet together, we talk about generalities, not personal stuff, but generalities of how is your mentoring journey? What are your challenges? Oh my, I hope I'm not about to be kicked out again. Susan, you look like you just froze. Anyway.
No, I'm listening.
and okay, and so Uma, I think, I don't know if you're part of the mentor on the Baobab platform, but I know as the Anglophone countries, I know Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, and I think one other country, we've got platforms really for mentors where we're able to encourage each other when the journey is tough, because it can also be tough for the mentor. You feel like you're now not being able to have that sort of organic, was the word I was looking for earlier, the unorganic relationship. So I think really talk to Rosine and the team to be able to get the support you need. And yes. sorry about that. I take it you're asking at a personal level.
I think, I think that's important. Susan? I don't know, Rosine, if you're still online, can you just type your email so that if they want to reach out to you, they'll be able to do that. Anne, are you still there? I see you are stuck.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'm here.
Before we get into our very final question, Bernadette asked, when are we supposed to get mentors? We already filled in the form. Like I said, the application is closing in December, mid-December. So after that, they will have to go through a process, and they will categorize you, or they will align you with the right person. So I believe for everyone that has actually applied should be able to get a mentor. They should be able to match you with someone. So Rosine has sent in her email. So if you have any more questions about this mentorship application, please reach out to Rosine. She's going to be able to get back to you and answer all your questions. I just want to say thank you so much as we come to the end of our session, which has been amazing. From both the audience and my guests, I really, really want to say thank you so much. And our final question is, what is your advice, your final tip of what Susan, you can tell me?
Again, I lost you at the end there.
Yeah, like give us a final advice about how we can strengthen our relationships, both mentorship relationships, social relationships. Your final advice.
Yeah, I will say, and I saw some people sort of. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I think to me, strengthening relationships, and again, I remember that relationships are at different levels. There are those that you do the one-on-one, there are those that you bring close, there are those that are, a little at a distance, they're acquaintances, there's the group meet, there's the work colleagues, there's, of course, even relationships that are family-oriented. I mean, there's a lot that we connect with at the interpersonal level. For me, and for those who joined in a little late, karibuni, in Kenya we say karibu, that means you're welcome. I would say that it's very important to understand yourself. A lot of times we have the culture of blaming others for our woes, or I haven't gotten this job because if they hadn't done that. Hey, all of us go through disappointments. I've had doors shut in my face, or worked through an opportunity, worked through a proposal that did not go through. But then we've got to know, how far am I willing to stick my neck out to do what I really desire without injuring other people? I think for me, it's very important to be understood and to understand. And if I find that something is becoming uncomfortable, where I have someone who's mentoring me, I speak up. I don't necessarily like confrontation, but I've learned that sometimes it doesn't have to be confrontational. It just needs to be worked out. It needs to, one needs to be able to say, hey, can I take you out for coffee? There's something I'd like us to talk about. That's sort of basically saying, hey, that's a little serious. So I think relationships come back to understand you and then be willing to be understood in the most basic level. That's what I would say. In studying my master's, one of the theories they talk about is the social penetration theory. And what that theory posits and stipulates is this, that you want to be known to the extent that the other person is getting to know you. So you're not giving out everything while the other person is giving very little. And sometimes we feel shortchanged in relationships. And remember, there are different levels. We feel shortchanged because the relationship is not panning out as we want it to. And like someone asked the question, how much can you talk about? You can talk about how much that social penetration is allowing you to talk. If the person is giving 10%, why are you giving 30%? It's going to become imbalanced. So you've got to know which relationships are you bringing closer, which ones just need to stay at arm's length, and which ones sometimes just need to be forgotten altogether. Not a very wonderful note to end on, but that's the truth about relationships, that not every relationship must be close. Even in mentorship, sometimes it's very businesslike. It's your mentor may be, I am very relational. If I've not talked to Susan we don't take even a month, within 2 weeks, and we text a lot, check on each other, but because we're both relational. But then you might find a mentor who's very businesslike. You've got to realize, that's how the relationship is. Okay, maybe my need is to be more relational, and perhaps then I need a second mentor, because it doesn't mean that you can only have one mentor at a time. One mentor may meet a different need than another one. So that's, I think, how I would like to end it. So yourself, get to know others, and decide the degree to which you want others to know you, because to that degree you will also be known. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. I believe that all of us have learned something. First of all, prioritize relationships. Don't look at them as the last resort. Be intentional about your mentorship experience. Allow yourself to learn. Be open-minded. Know what you want and what you don't want. And also keep your integrity in check. Do not compromise your integrity. That's very, very important. So I just want to first of all say thank you, Anne. It has been a pleasure having you today. It has been a great conversation. I enjoyed all of it. I think today I've even had some new things, new terms that I hadn't learned in our past 1 year, and so that we have shared together. So today I was also learning, and I'm glad you had an opportunity to learn from my mentor. I wish you all the best as you go along to apply, and I hope that you're going to have great mentorship experiences and great mentors and be great mentees. And secondly, I want to thank Angela. Thank you so much for handling the technical bits of the event. It has been a pleasure. Everything has gone so smoothly. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my husband who is present. Thank you for his being available and supportive. At least that one I knew that you will be around. So thank you, Ronald, and I love you so. And I want to say thanks to each and every person who has spared their time to be part of this event. I believe we have learned a lot. Thank you so much for coming through. I wish you all the best. I wish you a nice weekend and have a very great evening. Bye.
You and I, we're breaking bounds on Baobab.